Don't act like we weren't all thinking it. Video game box art that just irks me. Okay, I mean, like, let's be honest here. This one is lame as hell. The Super Mario RPG remake on Nintendo Switch. Now, let's not act like we don't know why it looks like this, all right? This is a recreation of the original Super Famicom art. In fact, the Mario RPG remake is pretty much like, it's retaining all the Japanese fixins. You know, the North American title was Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, and they got rid of the subtitle for the remake. And then, of course, the box art. It's just all the characters in their neutral pose on a white background. And that's the thing. I can respect how faithful it is. You know, this is a Super Nintendo game through and through. I think that's like one of its greatest benefits and probably also its biggest downfalls, this remake. The fact that it very much is the Super Nintendo game, just with a sleek coat of paint. If you wanted that, amazing. If you wanted something a little more modern, this probably ain't gonna do that. But to be fair, I mean, you look at this box art, are you really expecting anything modern? I would have liked maybe a light pattern in the background here. The Mario 3D Land and Mario 3D World box arts, like they have kind of like this circular pattern in the background where that background is also like completely white, but you know, you have these light little gray circles in the background. You know, that's something going on there. Whereas Mario RPG here is just all white. And I just think there's something that just looks unnatural about the remake's box art. It looks genuinely unfinished. For some reason, this doesn't feel as empty. It could be because, you know, this is a genuine Super Famicom box art, so yeah, like, I expect it to look a little blander than modern box arts. But the fact that the characters are all lined up here, it doesn't feel like there's empty space, it feels right. This, on the other hand, I'm just not a big fan of it. This feels like temporary box art, you know, the box art that is on the game, on Amazon, right when the game gets announced, then a year later when the game is finally coming out, they actually update it with the finalized box art. Yeah, that's what this feels like. And while we're on the topic of Nintendo Switch game box arts that look unfinished, what the hell is this? Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. It's really strange because most of the Mario and Sonic box arts are actually like really damn good, especially the Rio 2016 ones. These go so damn crazy. Like, look at these things. And the other ones aren't too bad either. I do think, you know, maybe the original one is a little bland, but, you know, it's Mario and Sonic running towards the camera. And it was the first of its kind, so I think, you know, it did what it had to do. And then maybe the Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games on 3DS. That one's not bad. It's just a little bland. It kind of just looks like key art for the game, like promotional art that you'd see as like a banner on the website rather than the actual box art. But for the most part, I would say this series has great box art. What the hell happened? Even the renders themselves look cheap as hell. Like, Mario looks like a little cheaper than he does on the Rio 2016 box. And Sonic here, I swear we've had this pose before. I swear we've seen this exact like model of Sonic. They just kind of edited his hands a little bit and gave him a medal. I'm not saying that for a fact, or it could be a fact. I don't know. What I'm trying to get at here is this is a very generic Sonic the Hedgehog pose. And then the stadium is just completely empty. Like there's nothing going on here. This is like the most temporary looking box art I've ever seen in my life that like actually made it through and is like the final box art. Like this looks unfinished. It's definitely the bare minimum. Like it's not like it doesn't work, you know, it gives you what you need for a Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games box art, but still, like, that shouldn't give it a passing grade. That's a participation award at best, and I don't even know if they worked hard enough to get that award here. Just a box art that just kind of bugs me with how bland it is. I have no idea why it's so bland, especially considering all the other games in the franchise have such dynamic box arts. Like, how is this the previous entry here? Like, how? Look at how crazy this looks. Hell, especially the 3DS version. Like, Mario's fucking pissed. But hey, maybe I have to cool down a little bit here. Let's go for something a little more basic, a little simpler. Fuck this. Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4. Once again, you know, like, most of these box arts I want to talk about, they aren't bad. But I'm just like, God damn. And it sucks because like this format has continued throughout this whole Marvel's Spider-Man series. So it's just like, you know they're sticking with it for the rest of eternity. And I think there's something to say about the simplicity here. Like, it's the fact that they don't have to really show off any majorly unique things on the box art. It's kind of giving off the vibe that like these are the definitive Spider-Man experiences in video games. You don't need to show anything fancy, it shows confidence. It's like, this is Spider-Man, bitch. But I feel like it just does a huge disservice to the game. I mean, like, these games are all about their giant open world New York cities to explore. So it's just like, why wouldn't you put Spider-Man on a background showcasing the cities? I mean, you don't have to. I don't mind it. I'm just kind of like, these box arts make me feel nothing. It's just the same shit. Especially now with Spider-Man 2. I mean, we're back to the exact same background color as the first game. And you can play as Miles Morales in this game, so why isn't it like a mixture of like red and black? And at the end of the day, they're all pretty much just the same thing. It's just, yeah, they're jumping in the air. They're doing something a little different. You know, they're using a different power maybe. I'm like, who the hell cares? Once again, it's not like these are bad box arts, but just like, I'm just so bored of these. Like, I just don't give a damn about what's going on here. Unlike all of the modern Fallout boxes, which are just, they're always the same thing. Look at this, then Fallout 4, then Fallout 76. It's just like they're zooming in, they're rotating the helmet, that's it, that's all they're doing. At least with the Spider-Man box arts, they're doing different poses. I mean, like this one, they just keep zooming in. But here's an interesting one. So I don't actually have a physical version of this game, but I'm talking about Halo Infinite. So Halo Infinite's box art is a direct recreation / callback to Halo Combat Evolved on the Xbox. You know, Master Chief is doing the same pose, and you know, you're kind of in, you know, a similar looking area. It's definitely pretty cool, but I don't like it for a very specific reason. The temp box art, I feel, was way better. Well, the Master Chief, like, back facing the camera, looking back a little bit, I like that box art way more. And it's just like, I just feel like Halo Infinite, that gives Halo Infinite's box art a lot more of its own energy, a lot more of its own style, character, all of that. Instead, they just go for an exact recreation of Halo 1's box art, which is like cute, but like, I don't know. You know, like I like what they had going on before with the temporary box art. With what they have now, I'm like, I don't dislike this, but like, you know, what could have been, you know? But hey, let's move back to Sonic for a second. I want to talk about Sonic Generations, and not this version of Sonic Generations. This version, the 3DS one, the one that, like, nobody played. I mean, like, some people played, but, like, you know, come the hell on. I almost feel like the only people that actually played the 3DS version of Sonic Generations are the YouTubers making videos about it. This isn't like a bad game, just a completely disposable and unnecessary one. Like, I don't understand why they felt the need to put Sonic Generations on the 3DS, because they didn't put Sonic Generations on the 3DS. This is basically its own unique game, and a very cheap kind of cash-in. You know, pretty much put a companion title for Sonic Generations on the 3DS, and you know, it does the job in some regards, but it's just a whole bunch of missed opportunities. But it's okay. I'd give it like a 6.5 out of 10, maybe a 7. But I'd give the box art a 2. Listen, I love like the Sonic Generations style. You know, just the whole anniversary celebration look. The fact, you know, it has all the stars and all these icons, and the fact that like, oh man, you know, like the whole world's white, and then we gotta bring color to it. And, you know, we see Green Hill back here, and, you know, modern Sonic and classic Sonic running towards the camera. This is a good box art. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite or anything, but, you know, I like this. I don't know why they did this for the 3DS one. I guess they wanted to make sure you knew this was not the exact same game. Instead, you know, like it's its own own version of Sonic Generations. But like, this is the thing. You know, Sonic Generations on 3DS always feels very cheap. It feels like a very budget cash-in to put a game called Sonic Generations on the 3DS. They didn't have a lot of time, they didn't have a lot of money, but they did it. So instead of actually creating like brand new key art for the 3DS version, instead they just kind of put 2 PNGs on top of the same background from the 360 one. Like, that's the same, like, thing in the back there. But, yeah, I mean, like, it's literally just, like, it's just 2 PNGs. These are just, like, 2 of the basic promotional key arts for Sonic Generations. They just smack them on here. They put, like, a white glow around it. That's it. It looks like a scrapbook. This looks like you just put 2 stickers on something. You know, to be fair, hey, it's an anniversary title. You're going back, looking back at memories, scrapbooks, you know? But I don't really think that's what they were going for. I think they just kind of, you know, just slapped this together. Just lame as hell, man. It's just like, what are you doing? Now, this initially may seem a little weird to be talking about Ocarina of Time in terms of, like, game box arts that irk me. To be fair, I think if, like, you really love this box art, more power to you, but I will ask why. And I do kind of ask that in the sense of, like, not necessarily if you love the game or not, but, like, let's talk about the box art on its own. You know, like, what about this box art so great? Because I think it's a stretch to call it art. Like, there's nothing here. But that's not why I dislike this. It's not even that I dislike it, it just kind of irks me. It's the fact that, like, Nintendo used, like, the exact same box art for, like, 3 Zelda games in a row. Like, you have Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and Ocarina of Time. And hey, if you want to count, like, Link's Awakening DX, go for it. It makes my argument even more valid. And they, like, no shame just reused the Link to the Past box art for Link's Awakening. Like, it's the exact same one. Like, copy and paste. At least here, you know, it's a 3D Zelda logo, so, you know, you have that going for it. And the gold here is a bit different. But, I mean, at that point, I'm splitting hairs. I think what makes this lamer is the fact that, like, yeah, you see these extra little, like, additions. The fact that, like, oh, yeah, it's 3D. Oh, yeah, you did this. But, like, you don't go all the way. You don't actually give us, like, a brand new box art. It's still just the same damn thing. And it's unfortunate because in Japan, like, they gave these games actual box arts. In North America, that's where it was like, nope, they're just bland-ass gold boxes. I love the fact that Zelda keeps with, like, the gold tradition, but, you know, like, when when you're replacing, like, actual art that is actually telling you something about the game, like, I'm like, come on, man. I guess it kind of kept with this idea that, like, Zelda is about your adventure and just being, like, this mysterious gold packaging. I think just kind of showed how confident they were with the fact that this is Zelda. This is, like, the grand video game that, like, is your own big adventure. The fact that it's so blank, it shows, like, hey, make this adventure what you will. This is your thing. This is all coming straight out of my ass. Much like any modern EA Sports cover. They're just screenshots now. Like, anytime I see, like, a Madden game in the store, like, what is this? This is nothing. This is absolutely nothing. And the fact that the logo, I'm pretty sure this is impact font. At least back in, like, the 2010s or, like, 2000s, like, they actually had to doctor those box arts, you know, make them look a little interesting. And now they're just pulling these pictures off of Google Images. Super Mario 64 DS. There's just something about this box art that feels off to me. It doesn't really feel like this is Mario 64. Like, when I look at this box art, I'm not going like if you don't show me the logo, I'm not gonna think, oh damn, a remake of Mario 64. But probably what I just don't really care for on this box art is how it really gives off that kind of, like, pissed off badass Mario vibe that, like, the early to late 2000s wanted to give off. You know those, like, images of Mario where he looks a little pissed off? I just think those are a little lame as hell. They feel a little try-hard, you know? It's kind of like from that era where Mario got a tribal tattoo. Now, there's just something that's, like, weirdly uncanny about this. Like, the realistic clouds, the fact that, like, there's this zoom blur over the whole thing, which implies, like, they're literally going too fast. I just don't really feel like this is a great representation of the game. Like, this doesn't really make me think I'm gonna play the game that I'm actually gonna play with Mario 64 DS. I mean, like, it's fine. It does the job, but it really does feel like this is kind of like advertising the multiplayer focus of Mario 64 DS, which isn't, like, a huge thing in this game. I love this game. You know, it has a lot of problems, but you know, I played this to death as a kid, but I kind of had to see that this was a thing. Like, I remember somebody playing it on the school bus, and I was like, oh, wow, that's a thing? I can play Mario 64 on my DS? And I had to specifically seek it out, you know? I feel like I didn't really, like, notice this game on the shelf beforehand, But, you know, lo and behold, it was there, and I finally picked it up. But not thanks to this box art. It's not bad. I'm just kind of like, it's just a little goofy looking to me. Borderlands 3, not bad box art. I'm mainly just talking, like, have you ever seen, like, all the concepts they had for this box art? Mainly because, like, Borderlands and Borderlands 2, you kind of had, like, a continuation of the whole thing where, you know, the guy is, like, shooting himself in the head, and, you know, in the second one, you know, he has both hands doing it, and then for the third, they had a lot of concepts as to, like, what they should do, and I do like the concept where his foot is shooting a third hole in his head. I really like that. You know, they just kind of go for a different vibe here because, you know, eventually, you know, with Borderlands 4 and 5 and 6, like, what else are you gonna do? But I think it's kind of fun to think about different ways to go about that same style, and I like that they kind of thought about it. You know, I'm fine with this box art. It looks fine, but I'm mainly putting it here because I really like the concepts that they had for the Borderlands 3 box art, and sometimes I do kind of wish they went with others that maybe were a continuation of Borderlands 1 and 2's box art. And then this one just looks a little goofy to me. The Injustice Gods Among Us box art. You know, you just have the Joker right there, and, you know, Batman versus Superman. But that doesn't even seem like it's like a big focus on this box art. This box art's just always kind of given me an off vibe. I'm not really sure why. But then I saw the Japanese box art, and that's why I put that here. You see the Japanese box art for this? Like, look at that thing. That looks cool. Which isn't to say any of the box arts I talked about here weren't cool in of themselves. I just kind of wanted to pull a couple box arts off the shelf and just talk about ones that I thought were a little funky. You know, ones that I'm kind of like, man, you know, I kind of wish they would do something a little differently, or maybe like, you know, this is a little off. I'm not sure about this one. And, you know, maybe we'll talk about more in the future. But let me know, you know, what are some box arts that you're not a fan of? What are some box arts that are a little strange? And tell me why it isn't Snoo 2 on vacation for the Nintendo DS.